I'm Sharonda Williams, and welcome to Prime Video Recaps. Welcome to Prime Video Recaps, where I will be recapping some of our favorite Prime Video original titles in order to help you catch up before binging a new series. With The Boys Season 3 premiering its first 3 episodes on June 3rd, I thought you might need a little reminder of everything that happened in Seasons 1 and 2 of The Boys. So loosen up your capes as we dive into Seasons 1 and 2 of The Boys. The Boys is an irreverent take on what happens when superheroes are as popular as the celebrities, as influential as the politicians, and as revered as the gods abuse their superpowers rather than use them for good.
I can do whatever the I want.
It's the powerless against the super powerful as the boys embark on a heroic quest to expose the truth about the Seven and their formidable Vought backing. Now that you know the series premise, let's meet the boys. Billy Butcher is a former member of the Special Forces turned vigilante. His #1 mission in life is to destroy all superheroes, especially Homelander. Billy's hatred for Homelander stems from his involvement with Butcher's wife Becca's disappearance. There's definitely more to this story, but I can't give you all the tea up front just yet.
Have a little listen. See what's really going on.
Next up, we have Hughie Campbell. Hughie was attempting to make the most of his life working in an electronics store while living with his dad. He had a girlfriend, Robin, who was tragically killed by a supe by the name of A-Train who ran through her. Yes, like he literally ran right through her because he's a speedster.
Robin?
R.I.P. Robin. Hughie is offered a settlement agreement for Robin's death as long as he signs an NDA. Hughie is approached by Billy after her death to join him on a mission to destroy superheroes.
So what are you gonna do about it?
His first mission is to infiltrate Vought headquarters by setting up a meeting with A-Train in order to plant a bug. Hughie ends up dropping the bug in the restroom where the supe translucent, he's invisible, figures out what he's up to. Translucent follows Hughie back home to work and almost kills him until Billy saves the day by driving his car into the store as they both work together to capture Translucent.
Let's get him in the boot.
We are then introduced to Frenchie after he is approached by Billy and Hughie to figure out how to penetrate Translucent skin. Frenchie is a killer for hire and also a genius. Frenchie had a tough childhood after being kidnapped and abused by his father. He committed many crimes with his friends Jay and Cherie while also inventing weapons to use on supes. Frenchie comes up with the idea to place a bomb inside of Translucent in order to help him give information on members of the Seven.
I trigger this. Also bang. It's heavy. Please don't kill me.
Translucent almost gets away, but Hughie ends up detonating the bomb and kills him. This leads our boys to find Mother's Milk, who initially left the boys to be with his wife and daughter.
Oh, hell no.
However, after Hughie kills Translucent, Mother's Milk is convinced to return to the group. Mother's Milk has beef with Vought and holds him responsible for his father's death. Later in the season, Mother's Milk's family is put in danger, leaving his wife to become angry about his re-involvement with the boys. While the boys are continuing to track down A-Train and what secret Compound V holds, they discover a secret hideout which leads them to find Kimiko in a cell. The boys quickly find out that Kimiko might have been in the cell for a reason as she tears into the men who has held her prisoner. Frenchie later builds a bond with Kimiko and convinces her to help him. Now let's meet our heroes, or as some would say, our villains of the series, from the Seven, who are backed by Vought, a multi-billion-dollar company that profits from the use of supes. What are the Seven without its leader, Homelander, who is the main antagonist of this series? Homelander is one of the strongest supes in the world, and he's also easy on the eyes. Well, maybe not, because he can actually shoot lasers out of them. Homelander has super strength, super hearing, X-ray vision, and can even fly. On the outside, Homelander seems like the perfect hero, but we soon find out that even our heroes have secrets to hide. Homelander has a handler by the name of Madeline Stillwell, who is the VP of Vought International. Homelander loves to kill and has no emotion or morals, mainly due to him being raised in a lab surrounded by doctors. Homelander always does Madeline's bidding, even helping kill the mayor of Baltimore after he tries to blackmail Madeline with his knowledge of Compound V.
I happen to know about Compound V.
Queen Maeve has superhero strength and durability. She is close with Homelander, and we later found out that the two had a romantic relationship.
Things I let you do to me.
Yeah, we're not even dating anymore.
Maeve is taking down a dark path in the season when she goes on a mission with Homelander to prove how helpful Vought International can be with superheroes in military situations. Homelander and Queen Maeve rush to stop human terrorists who have taken over a plane. After the mission goes wrong, Homelander decides to abandon the passengers on the plane, leaving them to their death. Maeve is guilty and runs to the arms of her on and off again girlfriend Elena. However, fear of Homelander killing her forces Maeve to once again push Elena away.
This was a mistake.
No, just talk to me. Just tell me what... If you...
A-Train is a speedster and the fastest man in the world. A-Train has developed an addiction to the chemical substance engineered by Vought International called Compound V to ensure that he remains the fastest speedster in the world. Just a little background on Compound V, as we learn later in the season that Compound V is actually the drug that was used to create suits. Yes, you heard it, this is not a born given ability, this is something that Vought International has come up with on their own in order to use suits to generate more money. After killing Robin while high on Compound V, Vought covers up the incident, saying that A-Train was actually at a bank robbery. A-Train ends up getting wounded by Kimiko in a fight, leading him to take even more Compound V, which eventually leads him into a heart attack at the end of season 1.
Holy shit.
Black Noir is a ninja, is proficient in martial arts, and one of the most feared members of the Seven. While we never hear him speak, Black Noir always makes his presence known. Starlight is new to the Seven and the perfect girl next door. Her entire life has been controlled by her mother and what others want her to do. She wins a contest to make it into the Seven, which makes her one of the happiest girls in the world. That is until she realized that sometimes it's not always great meeting your heroes, as she meets one of her favorite members of the Seven, the Deep. Starlight is forced to leave her morals behind in order to become a permanent member of the Seven. During the season, she begins to form a romantic relationship with Hughie until she is betrayed after he finds out his plans with Butcher. Starlight eventually finds her voice and tells the world who the Deep really is, which leaves her on Homelander's bad side.
I'm done pretending. And I'm done taking any more shit.
By the end of season 1, she decides to side with the boys in an effort to bring the corruption of Vought and the Seven to light. The Deep can communicate with sea creatures and uses his abs of gill to breathe underwater. He isn't taken seriously by the Seven or Vought International. After Starlight exposes him at the Believe Expo, he is sent on a sabbatical and eventually kicked out of the Seven. As we make our way into the season 1 finale, Butcher kidnaps Madeline in order to lure Homelander into a trap. Homelander ends up killing Madeline after he finds out she lied to him about Becca and the baby that she had by him. Homelander takes Butcher to a house where he discovers the shocking secret that not only is his wife Becca alive, but the secret child between Becca and Homelander is alive as well. Woo! I needed a break after that. In season 2, we pick up at the shocking season 1 cliffhanger of Butcher finding out about Becca. We learn later that Becca asked Homelander to spare Butcher's life in exchange for visitation with their son Ryan. Homelander is trying his best at parenting, but let's just say he needs a little more work. But now, not only is Butcher missing, but the boys are now on the run after Butcher is framed for Madeline's death. Stan Edgar is now the head of Vought International, which presents a potential threat to Homelander. After Homelander's creation last season of Soup Terrorists, the military begins to allow soups, which makes Vought International even more money. But let's just say Stan is still not a fan of Homelander.
You slipped Compound V to terrorists all over the globe to get you and your cronies into national defense. But maybe at the cost of destroying the whole company.
I don't think I appreciate your tone, sir.
The Deep is still in exile and is definitely not taking things too well. He is recruited to join a cult by the name of the Church of the Collective, but is determined to get back into the Seven. He meets Cassandra Schwartz and they later get married. He later leaves the Church of the Collective when they negotiate a deal for only A-Train to return to the Seven and not him. Starlight, who joined forces with the boys last season, is still a double agent while keeping up appearances with the Seven. She is also working with her boo thing Hughie in an effort to not only expose the Vought International, but also the Seven. Starlight traces down Gecko from a lead given by Hughie and forces him to find a sample of Compound V for her.
I thought that we were fine.
I'm sorry.
At this point in time, A-Train is the only one who knows about her alliance from the boys, but due to A-Train suffering a heart attack and being in a coma at the beginning of season 2, Starlight is able to carry out her mission with much ease. That is until in a surprise interview, she realizes that A-Train has actually awakened from his coma and he threatens to expose Starlight. However, Starlight uses the information that she knows about A-Train killing Popclaw last season and forces him to back down. The boys learn that there is a soup terrorist that has been smuggled into the US and goes to the CIA in order to cut a deal for their immunity. However, before the CIA can agree to terms, Agent Susan Raynor's head literally explodes. Frenchie calls Butcher to come out of hiding in order to help the boys. This leads them to turn to Grace Mallory, who originally created the group The Boys, but she reluctantly agrees to work with them in an effort to clear their name with the exchange of them delivering the soup terrorists over to the FBI.
It's like asking a cockroach to not be a cockroach.
The boys later find out that the soup terrorist is actually Kimiko's brother Kenji, as we learn a little bit more about Kimiko and Kenji's troubled past. For those who don't know, the Shiny Light Liberation Army killed their parents and kidnapped both Kimiko and Kenji and tested them with Compound V, which eventually turned them into soups. Later in the season, with the boys having Kenji, the boys head into the middle of the ocean to hand Kenji over to the FBI. That is until Kenji gets free and runs away, ultimately leading him into the hands of Stormfront, who kills Kenji in front of Kimiko. With Translucent being killed in season 1, it is now time for the Seven to receive a new member. Stormfront joins the Seven and becomes a rival to Homelander before the two eventually become passionate lovers. And I do mean passionate. We find out that Stormfront is a Nazi who used her position as a member of the Seven in order to push her white supremacist agenda. She is also the reason A-Train is kicked out of the Seven as well. Her antics in season 2 make even the likes of Homelander not seem so bad. We find out that she ages slowly and is almost over 100 years old. And did I also mention that Stormfront was patient zero for Compound V since founder Frederick Vought was her husband. The boys discover that both Stormfront and Vought have a place called Sage Grove Center where they are testing patients to perfect Compound V, not only in adults but also children. While the boys are there, they run into the former Seven member Lamplighter, and Lamplighter, as you may know, can manipulate fire. We find out that Lamplighter was actually a spy for the boys and also tried to kill the boys' founder Grace Mallory, but mistakenly killed her grandchildren instead.
I didn't know that you were gonna be in that bed. It was supposed to be your boss.
Grace convinces Lamplighter to speak at the congressional hearing to testify against Vought, and he agrees. Before Vought could be brought down, there is a supervillain attack at the congressional hearing, causing many heads to literally explode, which resulted in the deaths of the chairman, Jonah Vogelbaum, Shockwave, and several others.
What the fuck do we do now?
After Homelander kidnaps his son, Ryan, Butcher makes a deal with Stan in order to get Ryan from Homelander and back to Vought, under the condition that Becca actually has to be the one to stay with him. While Ryan is reunited with his mother, Stormfront stands in their way as the team has to now band together to take down Stormfront. As Stormfront almost kills Becca, Ryan lasers Stormfront to save his mother but ends up killing her. Before her last breath, she makes Butcher promise to protect Ryan, and he agrees.
You promised me you'd keep him safe.
Homelander arrives on the scene to take Ryan back, but Ryan wants to stay with Butcher. Homelander attempts to kill Butcher, but Queen Maeve steps in and threatens to release the video of Homelander abandoning the passengers on the plane, leaving them to their deaths. At the end of season 2, the boys are once again officially deputized as CIA operatives, supervised by Colonel Grace Mallory and overseen by Congresswoman Victoria Newman, who Hughie will now be working for. And did I also mention that Hughie's new boss is actually the person that is around those head-exploding supervillain attacks? I would have to say, I would never want to be on my boss's bad side with that power. Well, there you have it. That's everything that you need to know about seasons 1 and 2 of The Boys. Don't forget that season 3 of The Boys premieres on Prime Video with new episodes airing each week. Once again, my name is Sharonda Williams, and thank you for watching Prime Video Recaps.